What's going on, guys? This is the trade breakdown for Monday that I promised you guys. So I was anticipating these 4-hour equal lows to be the draw on liquidity, and if we're going to displace through this, we would anticipate this low and then the bottom portion of this fair value gap. But I was anticipating this high up here from Friday to be the high, or this high should stay intact before these lows get taken, right? So, and why was I anticipating a majority of this fair value gap to stay open and for this to run? Well, because you can see that we barely took the high of this, that's a turtle soup, into the FVG. That's institutional order flow entry drill, and then we displace lower, closing below this up close candle. This up close candle, and you can see we wick up, reject this up close candle, and then continue lower. Up close candles continuing to act as resistance, as you can see, and that's why I was anticipating this to be the high before these lows get taken. And I'll show you why I took my trade in a second, but this is a strong draw on liquidity, and you can see this is a big down close candle at 10 a.m. Once you see that, you're normally going to see the low that you're targeting get taken. And you get extra confirmation when this big up close candle gets closed below right here as well. So now I'll go to the 15-minute chart, and this trade occurred during PM session, and the morning was pretty sloppy really. I wasn't a fan of it. But I learned this from a guy named Uzi. He spells his name O-U-Z-Y. He's on Twitter and YouTube, and he has a private group. I've never had his teachings, his private teachings, but I've learned a lot just from his YouTube videos. There's a few key times that you want to look for manipulation at, and those times will be 3 a.m. during the London session, 8:30. That's when the news embargo lifts, and you normally have your high impact news that day. 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. So you want to anticipate things to occur at those specific times, and if they don't happen at that specific time, wait for the next key time. So you can see what happens at 8:30. What happens at 8:30? We continue to displace. What happens? Oh, I also forgot 9:30. That's the volatility injection, since that's when the stock market opens. And you can see what happens. We get our 9:30 indecisive candle. We run this low, turtle soup, and then anticipate this high. This is the first high of this range that's in a premium. That's why you're anticipating that high. So regardless, you're not trading any of this. This is you can, but this is a lot of chop. I didn't trade it anywhere in here. I didn't like any of this. So you have a key time, 10 a.m., with a sweep into a FEG, 5-minute FEG. We're failing to close above any of these highs, reject, and then you get this sharp candle lower, closing below this last up close candle. So now once I saw all of that and we're refusing to go below, you can see up close candles are acting as resistance. That's a good sign. That's what you want to see. If you zoom in on the 5-minute, what do we have? We have this up close candle acting as resistance this entire time. Once I saw this, I knew that my 4-hour equal lows were going to be the draw, and I wanted to see if I could get a trade into just the low of the day. This is low hanging fruit. I had one contract, so this is why I took off my trade at this low. Take partials at logical levels. Stop following Twitter people who don't make money. They all are just, half of them trade for likes and ego. We're here to make money and here to be free, right? So I was waiting to see for another key time. Since I missed this move down, I wasn't exactly sure what was going to happen, since this is chop. There's no, you're not ever going to be hurt waiting through chop, right? And when we were just ranging back and forth, there was nothing at either side that was convincing me that we were going to go in either direction. Just wait and wait and wait and wait. Wait until you have a clear signature and price that you understand, that you trust, and then act on it, right? After I saw this up here, this FEG react, we got this sharp move lower, close below this up close candle again, up close candle acting as resistance. I keep repeating that because that's what you guys want to be seeing. If you're looking for bearish prices, you want to see almost every up close candle act as resistance, and you can see that's consistently occurring over and over and over. So once I saw this sharp drop down, I knew that price was going to start to spool towards the drawn liquidity. And what key time did I just talk about? 1 p.m., right? We were approaching 1 p.m. Once I saw this candle manipulate at 1 p.m., I want to get in as early as possible. This is also a new hourly candle open. You want to get in as soon as possible at a new candle open because that's normally when you're going to get your expansion move at the beginning of the candle. That's where the wick forms. That's where you want to get in at. I also learned that from Uzi. We displace, or I trusted this FEG since I just waited to see what would happen right at 1 p.m. We were sticking inside of this FEG. If you go to the 2-minute, this is what I was really looking at. This smaller fair value gap up here. And we were respecting this. And since there was so much speed in real time through this area, you can see this big down close candle through this area, through these lows over here. That's why I just got in. I just market sold inside of this and got filled right here at 302. And my stop loss was at the high of this fair value gap. I was anticipating that to stay open because of the speed in real time. I was right here. I had an 18-point stop. I remember. Right there I got filled. And my TP. Actually, I got filled a little higher because I made $735 on this trade. So I caught 37 points on this trade. And the other reason that I was anticipating price to continue lower, you see this 1-minute breaker here? If you draw this out, it supported price all through this area, right? Once we get this rejection here, close below, you can see this is where we get that sharp displacement. What happens? We close below this 1-minute breaker. Now that gives you extra confluence that this is going to take out this liquidity. Why? Because liquidity has to go from A to B. All that means it's going from an engineered high to a low. That's it. We're not going to just reverse from this low down here. It's not important. There's no significant liquidity down here. Why? If you zoom out, that's not a low on any other time frame. You can look to take partials at 50% of this wick if you anticipate that. But since on the 1-minute, we were we were bouncing from here, but now we're using the inverse of the breaker. We close below this breaker here, respect the 2-minute, and that's all I needed to see for extra confirmation after we already had this 5-minute bearish order block being respected, and I was anticipating these lows down here to be our drawn liquidity, our ultimate drawn liquidity, those 4-hour equal lows that we talked about. So, and once again, inverse breaker. You can use every PD array as an inverse. And that's also why you can take partials at 50% on the wick. You can see what happens when we reach that, right? Look at that. Beautiful. That's just engineering more liquidity in my eyes. Both ES and NQ had equal lows. You can see that right here. That also gave me more confidence in this trade. There is no SMT at the lows either. So if I continue to play price, you can see we stabbed up in there one more time. Look at the candle bodies respecting that beautifully. Once I saw this, I knew I was on sides. We closed below this last up close candle, created this fractal breaker. You can see we get an immediate rebalance right there. Continue to sell off. We took low of day. At this point, now my stop loss was at break even. I did not want to have price snap all the way back up here, fill this fair value gap. I wanted to see this left open as a breakaway gap. And boom, there's our take profit. That was the basis of this entire trade, aligning the higher time frame with the lower time frame. And I'm going to zoom out just so this takes a little, it doesn't take as long, but I want to show you guys that it does end up hitting our drawn liquidity right there. You can see that our 4-hour equal lows was the perfect drawn liquidity for Monday, and it hits before the end of the day. But that was all for this trade. Pretty simple. The entry technique doesn't really matter. You can use any PD array. Just have a strong drawn liquidity, manage your risk, and I promise you guys will find not even some, a lot of success. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.